London, November 2006. A man sits in a hotel bar sipping tea with two old acquaintances. He doesn't know the tea is laced with polonium-210, a radioactive isotope so rare it requires access to a nuclear reactor. His name is Alexander Litvinenko, former FSB officer and whistleblower. Within hours, his organs begin to fail, his hair falls out, and his body disintegrates from the inside. From his hospital bed, he points a finger upward at the Kremlin. It was later concluded that the murder was approved by Vladimir Putin himself, a head of state ordering a nuclear assassination on foreign soil to silence one man. How far will one man go? The everyman autocrat. A mid-level KGB officer becomes the ruler of a nuclear superpower. 2 decades later, mass graves in Chechnya, poisoned critics on 3 continents, and an international criminal court warrant with his name on it. Western leaders once claimed to see Putin's soul. Russians learned to see something else, a former spy willing to do anything to keep power. His playbook rewrote the rules of autocracy for the 21st century, and the cost, measured in bodies and broken nations, is still being counted. But to understand the monster, you have to go back to the moment that made him. Moscow's silence. East Germany, late 1980s. Embassies are falling. Crowds are surging toward the KGB compound in Dresden. A young officer named Vladimir Putin burns classified files as fast as he can. He calls Moscow for instructions. Moscow is silent. The Soviet Union collapses around him. He watches a superpower die, humiliated, dismantled, forgotten. He carries that wound like a scar. He will never be powerless again. He returns to Russia, works his way through St. Petersburg politics, gets noticed, gets promoted, and by 1999, a man most Russians had never heard of becomes prime minister. Then the bombs go off. Terror or treachery. September 1999, nighttime. 4 apartment buildings explode across Russian cities. Entire structures collapse on families in their beds. More than 300 people died. Putin blames Chechen terrorists. He then launches an invasion within days. His approval rating skyrockets. But then Ryazan. Residents catch men hauling heavy sacks into a basement. Police find military-grade explosives with a timer set for dawn. Putin praises the citizens' vigilance and a manhunt begins. Police arrest the suspects, and they turn out to be FSB agents, Russia's own security service. The FSB scrambles, calls it a training exercise, claims the explosive was sugar. Local bomb disposal experts say otherwise. They tested hexogen, a powerful military compound. An independent investigation is blocked, and Parliament voted to seal all records for 75 years. And then there's the matter of timing. On September 13th, a Duma speaker announced that a bomb had exploded in Volgodonsk. One problem, that bomb wouldn't actually explode until 3 days later. How did he know? A declassified US cable reveals a chilling confession from a former Russian intelligence officer. The real story of Ryazan would never be known because the truth would destroy the country. Whether Putin lit the fuse or merely rode the blast, the bombings made him president. And what came next was merciless. Grozny to Novye Aldi. Grozny. Carpet bombed into oblivion. Russian artillery and airstrikes pulverized it block by block. Observers call it the most destroyed city on earth. Tens of thousands of civilians, the elderly, the sick, those who couldn't flee, die under the bombardment. Satellite images showed entire neighborhoods reduced to rubble. Putin's approval hits 80%. State television broadcast images of soldiers as heroes. What they didn't show were the war crimes. February 5, 2000, Novye Aldi, a residential suburb of Grozny. Russian Oman police sweep through on a routine document check. Reconnaissance troops who arrived the day before had whispered a warning to civilians. The forces coming behind them were like beasts. They weren't wrong. What follows is systematic slaughter. House to house. Automatic weapons. They execute a 1-year-old boy, his 29-year-old mother, 8 months pregnant, an 82-year-old woman, Women are gang-raped, homes torched to destroy evidence. At least 60 civilians confirmed dead. Moscow calls it a provocation to discredit federal forces. One officer is eventually charged. He vanishes. The case is suspended. To this day, no one held accountable. And the man who ordered the war? His popularity climbed. Media capture, April 14, 2001. Russia's last independent television network goes dark. NTV had committed the unforgivable sin. It questioned the 1999 bombings. It aired footage from Chechnya showing the human cost of Putin's war. It mocked the president with satirical puppets. Its journalists were sharp, critical, and unafraid. State-controlled Gazprom orchestrated a hostile takeover. Armed guards entered the building. Journalists were escorted out. The screen went quiet. American media mogul Ted Turner and investor George Soros offered $300 million to save NTV. Putin blocked it. Within months, TV6, where the exiled NTV journalists regrouped, was shut down. Then TVS, 3 independent networks destroyed in succession. By the mid-2000s, every major channel was state-controlled. The Kremlin now scripted reality. Putin was the protector. The West was the enemy. Dissent was treason. But propaganda alone wasn't enough. The troublemakers still had to be removed. Killing the messenger. The pattern is clinical. Yuri Shchekochikin, 2003. Investigating the apartment bombings. Falls suddenly ill. His skin peels off in sheets. His hair falls out. His organs fail one by one. Doctors call it an unknown toxin. His medical records are classified as a state secret. Case closed. Anna Politkovskaya, October 7, 2006. Putin's birthday. Found shot dead in her apartment elevator. 4 bullets. She'd spent years documenting war crimes in Chechnya. 5 hitmen convicted. Mastermind. Never found. Boris Nemtsov, February 27, 2015. Shot on a bridge in the Kremlin's shadow. He'd been under FSB surveillance for almost a year. The agents stopped tailing him days before the murder and immediately switched to following another opposition leader. Triggermen convicted. The person who gave the order? Untouchable. Every time, poison abroad. Litvinenko's polonium left a radioactive trail across London. Planes, hotels, restaurants, even a football stadium. The dose was worth $10 million on the black market. The message: no border protects you. 12 years later, Salisbury, England. Former double agent Sergei Skripal and his daughter collapse on a park bench. Novichok, a Soviet-designed nerve agent. A few micrograms can kill. The Skripals survive. But an innocent British woman, Dawn Sturgis, dies after handling the discarded perfume bottle that contained the poison. Putin is asked about the suspects. He smirks, says they were civilians visiting Salisbury's famous cathedral. The brazenness of the lie was its own message. He wasn't even trying to hide it anymore. Putin's palace, on the Black Sea coast, sits a fortress, 17,700 square meters, private theater, ice rink, casino, hookah lounge with a stripper pole, wine cellar, Italian marble bathrooms, no-fly zone overhead, FSB guards on the perimeter. Officially, Putin owns nothing. The funding traces through a web of childhood friends and former KGB colleagues. Oligarchs receive state contracts. They voluntarily contribute to projects benefiting one man. Money laundered through shells, offshore accounts, sham deals. Then there's the cellist, Sergei Roldugin, Putin's old friend, godfather to his daughter. According to the Panama Papers, $2 billion flowing through his shell companies. A cellist with $2 billion. Putin's system isn't a government. It's a mafia structure in a suit. The house always wins. August 2020. Alexei Navalny boards a flight in Siberia. 30 minutes in, he starts screaming. Emergency landing. Coma. Russian doctors claim a metabolic disorder. Only after international pressure do they let him fly to Germany. Doctors at Berlin's Charité hospital find Novichok in his system. Military-grade nerve agent, the same one used on the Skripals. Then the darkly absurd twist. Navalny calls an FSB agent, pretends to be a senior official, and gets the man to confess, on a recorded line, that they smeared the poison on his underwear. 49 minutes of bumbling confession, simultaneously hilarious and horrifying. Any sane person would stay in Germany. Navalny flies back to Moscow. He's arrested on the tarmac. Protests erupt in over 100 Russian cities. 11,000 detained. Navalny is sent to a penal colony, then a maximum security facility, then the Arctic Circle, Polar Wolf Prison, -30 degrees, February 16, 2024. Alexei Navalny dies in custody. He was 47. Putin says nothing for days. When he finally speaks, he doesn't use Navalny's name, just a prisoner. The contempt was deliberate. The House always wins. War and Children, February 24, 2022. Russian missiles rain down on Ukrainian cities, the largest military invasion in Europe since World War II. Putin calls it a special military operation. The world calls it an unprovoked war of conquest. Bucha. Ukrainian forces retake the town and find horror. Bodies in the streets. Men with hands tied behind their backs, executed. Mass graves. Satellite imagery confirms the timeline. The bodies appeared during Russian occupation. Human Rights Watch documents deliberate executions. Intercepted Russian communications show soldiers discussing orders to shoot civilians. Mariupol, besieged for 85 days. Water cut. Electricity gone. The word children painted in giant Russian letters outside a theater shelter, visible from the air. Bombed anyway. At least 600 killed in that single strike. When Russian forces finally capture what remains, mobile crematoriums are brought in to dispose of bodies. Then the children were taken. Thousands of Ukrainian kids deported to Russia. Orphans first, then children separated from families, placed in re-education camps, stripped of their language, their identity, their homeland. March 17, 2023. The International Criminal Court issues an arrest warrant for Vladimir Putin. The charge, unlawful deportation of children. He cannot set foot in 123 countries without risking arrest. Inside Russia, state television doesn't mention the warrant. The Mutineer, June 2023. Wagner Group convoys race toward Moscow. Yevgeny Prigozhin, Putin's former caterer turned warlord, has seized Rostov-on-Don, a city of over 1 million people and the logistics hub for the entire Ukraine war. His forces shoot down Russian military aircraft, kill at least 15 airmen. The convoy advances to within 200 kilometers of the capital. Putin appears on television, calls it treason, vows inevitable punishment. A deal is struck. Prigozhin stands down, walks away. For exactly 60 days, August 23, 2023. Prigozhin's private jet explodes mid-flight. No survivors. Putin offers condolences. Notes that Prigozhin was a person with a difficult fate who made serious mistakes. The message to every insider in Russia: there are no second chances, legacy, and warning. Vladimir Putin is 72. He's changed the constitution to stay until 2036. He travels with a personal sniper squad, uses armored trains instead of planes, surrounds himself with food tasters. He understands, without absolute power, he has no protection. The moment he's vulnerable, the crimes of a lifetime catch up. He has built a system with no succession plan, no institutional transfer of power, no trusted heir. Anyone competent enough to lead Russia is competent enough to threaten him. So he's surrounded himself with yes-men whose only qualification is obedience. No way forward except chaos. When the Soviet Union collapsed, the archives opened. Stalin's purges were documented. The Gulag system was exposed. When dictatorships fall, from Ceausescu to Saddam, the veil lifts. Putin knows this. It's why he can never let go. But he's mortal, and the cracks are already showing. An entire generation has seen Navalny's investigations. They've watched friends conscripted to die in Ukraine. They've felt sanctions squeeze their economy. They've noticed that Putin's promises of greatness produced isolation and ruin, while his inner circle lives in obscene luxury. The late Boris Nemtsov once said, Heroes die, but fear must not win. The story isn't over. The final chapter is yet to be written, and when those files open, the truth will pour out. Unchecked power doesn't soften with time, it metastasizes.